Honorable Men Discord. Was it Bill or was it Bills? Let's talk about it. So for those of you who don't know or are unaware of this, Bill Belichick, the former coach of the New England Patriots, is now going to be the head coach of North Carolina's football team. That's going to be the first time he's coaching college football since his 29-year career with the NFL. But that's not the big news. All right. The big news is that Bill Belichick, who was once married for about 30 years, I want to say, and has children with his ex-wife, is now dating someone who's over 40 years younger than him. Bill Belichick is in his early 70s and the young lady's in her early 20s. But, some would say that this is taboo because maybe here in the United States, that's not a norm, but in other countries, it is a norm. So some would argue that, we're just not familiar with those type of relationships. But in any event, what makes this particular relationship strange to many, aside from the age gap, is the fact that it seems like Bill Belichick is subservient to this young lady. Seems like she has all the control. And what I mean by that, we'll see in this video, courtesy of ABC News, where they speak about their relationship. So let's get into that and we'll talk about it further. Oh, and by the way, I will stop and pause here and there when I come across something that I feel like I want to discuss further. So let's get into it.
One of the most storied coaches in the history of the NFL, leading Tom Brady and the New England Patriots to 6 Super Bowl wins. Run out of time. Bill Belichick, famous for his football genius and his gruff demeanor, on display at this press conference from 2016.
I could just Xerox you a copy of the game plan. You can send it over to Kansas City if you can. It might be easier for all of us.
But now the 73-year-old football coach making headlines off the field for his girlfriend, 24-year-old Jordan Hudson. And it's not just their nearly 50-year age difference that fans are finding questionable. During an interview with CBS Sunday Morning to promote his book, the coach saying he doesn't care what people think.
Never been too worried about what everybody else thinks.
But it was this moment from the interview that went viral.
How did you guys meet?
Just had to say this, and I know it's going to ruffle feathers, but I don't care. Had this been another nationality doing something like this, would they have had the opportunity to hold the head coach position at North Carolina? Just a thought. Just a thought. Now, is he breaking any laws? No, he's not breaking any laws. But he's also representing a college. And to be the head coach at his age, 73 years old, with a young lady who's old enough to be at that college as a student. Now, don't get me wrong. I know there's going to be some that argue and say, well, college has no age group. There's people who go back to college when they're much older adults. Yes, that may be true. But for the most part, we know college, the majority of students in college are, I want to say, early 20s, right? You enter college. When I entered college, most people about 18, 19, unless you excelled and you advanced student or something like that. But you start about 18. And by the time you get out of college, depending on what you're studying, you're in your early 20s. All right. So, all right, she's 24. So at that age, she should have been out of college, or depending on what she's studying. But the point of the matter is he's the head coach of the University of North Carolina. All right, Division I school. And again, the question I ask, whether some of you may like it or not, is would any other nationality be able to be that old in age, dating someone in their early 20s, and be the face of the football franchise? Football team, I should say, not franchise, excuse me. I'll see you in the comments, but let's continue.
About this?
No.
And setting the sports media world ablaze.
All right, let me bring this back.
Never been too.
because I didn't want us to miss this, right? Here it is, Bill Belichick, 73 years old, having an interview, and this girlfriend of his, not a fiance, not a wife, this girlfriend of his, and I don't even think they've been dating for more than a year, right? This girlfriend of his interrupts his interview and speaks for him and says, no, we're not going to discuss that. But I want you to hear it. All right, so let's get into that.
What everybody else thinks.
But it was this moment from the interview that went viral.
How did you guys meet?
Not talking about this.
No?
No.
And setting the sports media world ablaze.
First of all, you can't answer that. That makes me wonder if it was some type of what's the word I'm looking for? If it was transactional. Was it a transactional relationship? I think it's safe to say it is. Let's be for real. You can't tell me this 24-year-old saw Bill Belichick and was like, oh man, this is the guy of my dreams. Not in face, not in body, and that's not to be superficial, but come on, let's not play like this. Listen, if you actually believe that this 24-year-old saw Bill Belichick and she was just head over heels, I'll see you in the comments. But I honestly believe you're lying to yourself if you actually come in the comments saying that she genuinely saw Bill Belichick and was like, oh man, I need this man in my life. All right? I don't believe that's the case. I believe this was transactional, which is why was it Bill or Bills? That's why that's the title, right? And then you see her face, and listen, Bill at this point, just off the way she answered for him, right? It's safe to say, I'm gonna assume with this, obviously, because I'm not there with them behind closed doors, nor do I want to be, but it's safe to say Bill is the type of person who, and you know there's people out there like this, they like to be in control in their work environment, but at home they like to be controlled. It's safe to say Bill Belichick is the type of person who she's like a dominatrix to Bill Belichick. All right? If you don't like that I'm talking about your favorite coach, I'll see you in the comments. He's not my favorite coach. My team beat him twice, New York Giants. But we're not talking about the Giants. We're talking about Bill Belichick and his 24-year-old girlfriend. There is no way at that age, if I'm having an interview, after I had a legendary career, is some 24-year-old girlfriend of mine or any person, you know, that's with me is going to cut me off in my interview and talk about we're not talking about that. That's when I tell you you can excuse yourself and go back to the car. Because you're not embarrassing me. So you choose to speak whilst I'm having an interview and interrupted to say something like that, I'm going to tell you need to go back in the car and sit down or go to the lobby or something like that. But let's continue.
She would stop and interrupt Bill Belichick.
Jim Rome asking on his show if Belichick is okay.
Or are you still in control? Are you in control of your business? Are you in control of your personal life? Are you calling your own shots? What exactly is going on with Bill Belichick and his 24-year-old squeeze?
Stephen A. Smith weighing in.
We certainly don't want to see someone with you telling folks we're not answering those questions.
Today, Belichick, who's now head coach at the University of North Carolina, releasing a statement saying he told his publisher that any promotional interviews I participated in would agree to focus solely on the contents of the book, and that he was surprised when unrelated topics were introduced, adding his girlfriend was simply doing her job to ensure the interview stayed on track, and the segment used selectively edited clips to suggest a false narrative. CBS responding with a statement of their own, saying they agreed to a wide-ranging interview with Belichick, and there were no preconditions or limitations to this conversation. Belichick's relationship with his much younger girlfriend and how they met has been a source of intrigue.
Wait, so is this story of them meeting on a plane actually a complete hoax?
The two have said in the past they first met on an airplane in 2021. After the interview, Hudson resharing this old post on her Instagram story. The caption, "Happy Meet-iversary, Bill Belichick," showing a video of a textbook she says the coach autographed for her that day, signing, "Thanks for giving me a course on law."
Now, just for the sake of interaction and dialogue, Do you think that it's necessary for Bill Belichick to disclose how he met his girlfriend? Because I know there'll be some that say, well, relationships is private. He doesn't have to speak on that. He's there to speak on his book, or he's there. First of all, if he has a book, what is his book about? Right? So if he has a book that he's also promoting, I think it's fair game to ask about your relationship, depending the nature of the book. Outside of that, I could see how someone could argue and say, well, he doesn't have to talk about his relationship with the 24-year-old because he's there to talk about the upcoming season for North Carolina, because he was just named the head coach for North Carolina in December of 2024. So I guess I could kind of understand why someone would say, well, he doesn't need to speak on that. But here's the thing. Although I am in a agreement with those who say, you know, you don't have to speak on your relationship ever, no matter what field you're in. I agree with that. But this is a totally different situation, because this is someone who, like I said, is 73 years old, and he's dating someone that could be a student at the university that he's about to coach at. Aside from the fact that this 24-year-old girlfriend of his is younger than any of his kids. I believe he has 3 kids, if I'm not mistaken, 2 boys and a girl. But this girl is younger than all his children. So is it fair game that when he's asked about how they met, that he answers it? I think so. Especially when you're about to be the face, again, of a university. It's not like he's retired and he's just enjoying his life and he's talking about his book. That's different. But you're actually embarking on a new career after all those years in the NFL. You're embarking on a new career that puts you in close proximity of young adults. I don't know. What's your take on this? I again asked the question that I asked earlier. What other nationality can do this and be the head coach of a university as reputable and well known as North Carolina? I'm waiting for you in the comments. Let's continue this.
Safe travels. Hudson has unveiled a different side of Belichick on her Instagram page, including this video, which Belichick was asked about during the Sunday morning interview.
Yeah, so I'm on some of those social media platforms, but I honestly don't follow them.
Jordan has been spotted repeatedly alongside Belichick, including at UNC football practices.
This woman, Jordan, is like on the field during practices with the Tar Heels.
It's her world, and Bill is just living in it.
And the legendary coach, famous for saying as little as possible as the entire sports world talking.
So listen, this is left for the comments at this point. I just want to hear what everyone that's viewed this thinks of this topic. I think it's crazy, but they're 2 adults. But I do think it's crazy. I think that I don't believe another nationality, even with a winning career like that, with the same winning career that Belichick has, I don't think another nationality would be able to be dating someone that's 24 years old and then also have a head coach position at a university. Now, I don't know if before he embarked on the head coach position at North Carolina, if it was already known that he had a 24-year-old girlfriend. But to be honest with you, if it was another nationality, I don't think it would matter if they knew going into it or if they found out after. I think that either way you put it, that person would not be able to have that job. And even though that's their personal life, the university wouldn't want to have to speak on their head coach dating someone so young. But because Belichick is who he is, and you could disagree with me in the comments because this is what this channel is for, respectfully, because of who Belichick is, I think the university is just looking at the fact that, oh, this is good for our university because we get to say we had a Hall of Famer coach from the NFL coach our men's football team. But they only make that exception for the fact that Bill Belichick is a white man. And I'm going to be honest, I don't care if anyone disagrees with me in the comments. I'll see you in the comments, but make sure you keep it respectful. That's the only reason why he's able to pull that off, because you cannot tell me that a black male coach with the same resume as Bill Belichick would be dating a 24-year-old girl, and he still maintains the head coach position at North Carolina? You can't tell me that. But if you want to tell me that in the comments, I'm here for it. But that's all I have on today's episode. As always, I appreciate everyone for tuning in. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. Hit that subscribe button. But most importantly, aside from that, hit the like button. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next episode.